everyone, and welcome to another episode of Haunt Talk. In today's episode, we are going to be ranking our 10 scariest haunted houses that we have ever been to. Now, again, we haven't been to all haunted houses. In fact, we've been to mainly ones in Ohio and PA. So if you're like, why isn't this one on the list? We probably haven't been to it. Or being scary is subjective. Everyone is going to be scared by different things.
Yeah.
We also don't like the ones that like to bury you alive a lot and like torture you and stuff like that. So like we just don't do those because I don't like it. So yeah, so like more of the haunted houses list will be a little bit more traditional haunted houses you probably would actually want to go to. So yeah, so none of like the torture ones that were made like popular by McKinney Manor and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Before we begin, make sure to do the YouTube stuff, like liking and subscribing. We also have a Patreon if you would like to help us out. There's a whole bunch of like different perks and stuff like that. And if we get more people, there'll be even more perks, like exclusive videos and stuff like that. But goodie bags, t-shirts, that kind of stuff, names in the credits, it also just really helps us out. There's also this button called Super Thanks where you can leave us tips. And we have a merch store where you can buy a shirt with our Skull Bob on here. We like to call him Scully. Yep. Oh yeah, he's on our wine glasses that have water in them. What fun we are. Sometimes they have wine. Today it's water. But yes,
It's hot.
And as always, how are we going to know which haunted house is the scariest if we don't refer to Book of the Dead? Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! So I will let Kim kick it off with our number 10 spot. And these are actually ranked from what we personally think are scariest. So we took a few things into consideration.
Yes.
Like how intense it is, of course, like the atmosphere of the place. Yeah. Because some of these, well, looking back at the scores we gave it, they got like the same ratings, like 9. Most of the ones on here, I think the lowest might be a 9, but all of them were 9 to 10 ratings that we give it. If you're unfamiliar with the channel, we rate everything on a scale of 1 to 10 with half points. Once in a while, we do quarter points. We kind of forget we said we were going to do that. We need to remember.
We did it last year. Yeah. We did do it last year.
We still forgot a lot. We need to remember because a lot of times, like, things are like, I don't know if that's good enough to be a 9, but it's better than an 8.5. So maybe we forgot to figure to do it. But either way, though, something's jangling over there. We will start the list here. And you want to kick us off with our number 10.
Number 10 is Ghoul Brothers in Akron, Ohio.
Yes. Now, this one is mainly scary because of the amount of jump scares in quick succession.
Oh my gosh. Like, they have that place set up so well that they literally can get you from, like, all places in, like, one room. Like, you can encounter a monster that you encountered in, like, the first room in, like, room 6. Just the way they have it set up and stuff, there's ways that they can, like, intertwine and stuff. And they just are just so well placed and have such good distractions to just get at you. And it's, like, literally, like, at one point we were walking, last year we actually got to go in there twice. And we even knew where some of the scares were, and they still got us in, like, some other place. And it was just crazy. The
place is designed expertly for repeat walkthroughs. That's why this one does have... No, they definitely have one where you can do, like, an all-night pass, I think, right?
Yes.
Where you can go through, like, multiple times. Because the actors are so good and there's so many different hiding spots, they keep getting you. Now, why is this number 10 when we say that? Because they don't touch you. They're not crude. There's not a lot of gore. Yeah. It is about a traditional... boo house kind of like thing. Like you are going there and it's jump scares and really, mainly just jump scares. But the jump scares here are constant, and this haunted house is a lot of fun, which is also why it's not there. You're not going to feel a big sense of dread. You're going to be screaming like almost the entire time, but it's never like the life panicking. For people that like haunted houses, I'm sure some people might go in here and, freak out. This isn't a great, like, beginner haunted house, but it's just, because some of the ones we're going to talk about later are scary, where it's like, you do it once and you're like, I think that was amazing, but I don't think I need to do that again right now.
Right.
Like, that was horrifying. Where this one is like, that was really scary, let's go again, that was fun.
Yes.
Kind of like riding a coaster. It's thrilling. It's thrilling, yes. So, it's also short, but I think it's the perfect length for how back-to-back the scares are.
Yeah, how much you get scared. It's like a perfect amount.
Yeah. It's not always about, like, the length of the haunted house, like, the duration that it takes, because, like, you can have, we've been to haunted houses that are, like, 45 minutes long, but you only get scared, like, 5 times in that 45 minutes, so it feels boring.
Yes.
Ghoul Brothers we've been there many years now, and it's never felt boring.
Yeah.
So now we'll go on to number 9. Very similar into the way I think that Ghoul Brothers is Lake Erie Fear Fest / Ghostly Manor.
Yes.
So in 2020, we did it when it was just Ghostly Manor. They didn't have the other haunts open. So last year we went. Now, as far as I understand, there were still like 2 or 3 haunts that weren't
there were
open.
like at least there was an outdoor haunt, and a trail, and then there was an inside.
I think there's actually 2 because it was one big building and it looked like there's 2 separate sides.
You're right. You're right. So I think there was 2 haunts, indoor haunts, and then there was a trail that we noticed as we were leaving that were like, hey, we didn't go in that. But they still had like 3.
They still had 3. They had the main one. I can't remember what it was, to be honest.
Ghostly Manor is the main one.
Oh wait, no, I think there was 3 altogether. Yeah, so there was the ship one, which is cool because there's a lot of water and stuff. There.
They give you a poncho.
Yeah, they give you a poncho because of all the water, which is cool. Then they had one that was kind of like a blackout maze, and then Ghostly Manor. Again, tons of jump scares.
Yes. When we went there in 2020, I think there was literally like maybe 3 I think there was literally 3 people working in this haunted house, and they got us. We were sweating.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
When we got out of that haunted house, we were like,
that one's not super
just
long
happened?
Either.
Like, it was crazy. Yeah, it's not very long at all.
So it's similar to Ghoul Brothers in the way that it scares.
Yes.
And one thing I really liked about this one is there's actually a lot of animatronics, and the animatronics in that are placed in a way that they will almost certainly, at least a couple of them, get you.
Yes.
Like walls just falling and some kind of thing popping out at you. Like, because unless you've been to it, you know, and you know the layout, it's kind of impossible to see where some of the things are. I think there was like a dinner table that may have, there's something that like fell and hit the table and scared the crap out of us.
Yes. Yeah. It was the dinner table. The dinner table like popped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like a sensory assault, especially if it's the first time you've been there and you don't really know what you're experiencing. If you're going to Cedar Point, make sure you leave early enough. If you're doing Fast Pass, you should be able to visit Ghostly Manor.
Yeah, it's on 250. Great. It's right down the street. Yeah. It's well worth it.
Well worth it. Definitely visit there. Not on the list, but Haunted Hydra is not terrible either, and it's not that far from Sandusky. Yeah. So if you're trying to hit a few, as many as you can, Haunted Hydra is it's a classic one. Not super scary, but it's a classic. It's not bad. So that leads us to number 8, Miss Kim.
Number 8 is the Dent Schoolhouse in Cincinnati.
Yes.
This one is literally in a giant schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun. Like, they stick to the theme.
They sure do.
But, like, they do have some weird things happening in there. Because we actually had some issues with it the one year when we did our review. Because we're like, why are there this in here? You know, it's a school. Why are there clowns? Well, one of the things is that it's a school, so to raise money, there's doing a carnival.
Carnival.
So that's why there's clowns. So we're like, okay, that's a stretch, but whatever.
But there's some also things like the dungeon, like I think like there's like, you know, stories of like, because there's like a thing that's like a crypt in the basement of the school too.
Yeah, there's like Satan worshippers that were down there. And then of course, the creepy janitor.
Now I will say, this one doesn't have necessarily more intense scares than the other two, but the reason this one's a little bit higher is because there is some supremely dark energy, some like just real dark scenes in there, like children on meat hooks, a guy that, you know, things like that.
Because I mean the whole like premise is about like this creepy janitor
that I don't know exactly what he did to the kids, but bad things.
Yeah.
So
they just kind of leave it to your imagination.
So if that's a trigger for you, this one might be a little bit much, but this is another one where they're not really going to touch you. I don't think they touch at all.
No, they get close, but they don't touch.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because I'm trying to think if they do, because obviously they didn't in 2020, which is the last time we were there. And they are really good, especially the Q actors, swinging like quote-unquote weapons at your face and like stopping at the exact moment before it hits you.
Yes.
Now obviously the things are using your actual foam, and they wouldn't, if they did hit you, it's not going to like murder you.
Props to the pumpkin smasher.
Yeah, always props to the pumpkin smasher.
Really good with his smasher.
Yeah, we did an interview with him a couple years ago on the channel for Creeps, Creatures, and Haunts.
Oh my.
Now moving into number 7 is Fear Columbus. Now this one is kind of a sensory overload, which I think is why it is so scary.
Yeah.
If you are like easily triggered by like just constantly being bombarded by loud noises and stuff like that, and just think of like everything that could happen that, you know, just as a senses, smells, looks, sound, lights, everything, and it's just constant. And there are a lot of good like jump scares in this one, but man, by the time you're done, you feel like you just ran a marathon because of how much has been happening to you while you're in there.
And they they actually used a thing that they kind of call in the industry, they call it like a boo button.
Yeah.
And Universal's really big at using it. And it actually kind of saves your actors from like really like destroying their voices. Correct. And things like that. And it's basically a button that anytime somebody walks into the room, they pound that button and all the stuff starts happening. And it makes noises for them so they don't have to scream at you unless they really want to. And it's just it's very well used in this haunted house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very well used. I would say that sometimes it's a little bit loud, like my ears have rang a couple times after leaving because it is very loud in there. Like, my God. One nice thing about being so loud is it's kind of impossible to hear what's going on in the next scene in front of you because of how loud the entire thing is, so it does kind of keep everything a surprise.
Yeah.
The main thing, though, it's scary. I mean, the place is scary, but if you are like a haunt enthusiast, if you really like the ones with a lot of detail, this is a can't miss. Oh, yeah. You must go to this one. And there's some others, one that will be on this list later, but one that's not on this list for being scary, but also really good is Carnage. There's 3 great ones in Columbus area, and now Zombiesi Bay, which was their first year last year at the Columbus Zoo. And it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get to go to that one this year, probably not, but like, I'm hoping it'd probably even be better. And it wasn't bad for what it was last year. I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement, but it wasn't awful for a first-year haunt, really.
No, not at all.
So there's like 4 good ones in Columbus, and spoiler, one will be later on the list.
So moving on to number 6, Penhurst Asylum in PA. So this is actually in an old abandoned asylum, and it is creepy. Like, it's in the middle of this creepy, decrepit woods. You have to walk through all these, like, these pathways through all these abandoned buildings that they don't even use. Like, they only actually use, like, 2 of the buildings, I think.
I would say, as ridiculous as it might sound, the creepiest part was just the walk to the first haunt.
Yeah.
Because it's long, and you really walk around the, it's just abandoned. And I do think that they sometimes have scare actors. We got there when it just got done, like, raining fairly decently. Because there were things where you could see the people normally hiding behind. But, the atmosphere, like, it was rainy, and, like, part of it's kind of in the woods. And it's just, it was so unnerving walking up, and you just see all of these buildings. And only a couple of them are used for the haunt, but you just see them all, and you're like, ew, I don't want to go in there, but I also really want to go in there.
Right?
And this one's cool, too. We didn't do it, but you can, like, get a package where after you're done going through the haunted house, you can go do an actual ghost hunt in the building that's supposed to be the most haunted. All of it's supposed to be pretty haunted, but I think that's cool. There's a couple, but not many other haunted houses that I know of, like, allow you to, like, do a ghost hunt package with your haunted house.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
But besides that, did they touch you in this? Yeah, they did touch a little bit in this one.
Yes, they do touch a little bit.
Nothing crazy, but they'll, like, grab the back of your neck a little bit and stuff like that. We also went in 2021, so they did allow touching, but they probably were a little more tame. Yeah. Because, again, the Rona and all of that, things were still a little bit probably tamed down. But overall, it was pretty scary, but the atmosphere here is the one, especially when you go into the tunnels. Those are creepy.
Those were so creepy.
Because, like, there's a good section where there weren't even any actors. They're just like, have fun in there. And then eventually it does start back up again. But there's this kind of, like, letting you experience being there, which is like, ugh.
Yeah, it was so, like, unnerving. It was just, ugh.
Just some, this, like, I think there was, like, just some, like, underlying bass and just lights. And it was just, it was really awful in a good way. So, yeah, Penhurst Asylum is... so that takes us to number 5, which is actually... I might be wrong, but I think it is or was ran by the same people, which is Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride.
Yes. It's been a while since we've actually been to this one. It has been. But it was a lot of fun. It's probably my favorite hayride. I've
definitely never been on a hayride better.
It was just so much fun. And the haunted house was actually really, really good, too. Yeah. They actually had a haunted house and they had a corn maze.
They had a corn maze. The corn maze was a little lackluster, but... Yeah, the haunted hayride was super elaborate, and they'll jump up and grab you on it, which is cool. One of our best experiences is there's a girl on there and someone jumps up and she says something and the actor turns around and grabs her by the ankle and starts dragging her from like, she's kind of towards the end, down the middle of the hay wagon, because it's actually hay for one, you're not on seats, you just sit on hay.
Yeah.
Dragging her and she's thrashing like, oh, this is one of those things where they seat an actor and then another actor takes her and it looks like someone got abducted. No, because he let her go and then she started bawling her eyes out and crawled back to her friend. And I'm like, oh, this actor really just drug her across the hay wagon. It was super sick.
Yeah.
And yes, it's like we call it, I think we described it as like if Disneyland made a messed up hayride.
Yeah.
So elaborate. It was
It
like
was.
a whole like what? Jurassic Park like esque section with like volcanoes and like dinosaurs. And the haunted house was pretty scary. It was short, but it packed a punch.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those ones similar like we like with Ghoul Brothers, just like scare after scare after scare. It's only like a 5-minute long haunted house, but it's super elaborate and lots of scares.
Yeah.
And the core maze probably is better, but it was another rainy night that we went, so I know it was like super muddy, and so they probably didn't have as many actors because of that. And again, this was also years ago, so I know they have not done a hayride. Did they do was it a hayride last year? Because it was a walkthrough for a couple of years because of Rona.
I think it was a walkthrough
and they
last
wouldn't let people
year
sit too
as
close.
well.
So
Yeah.
hopefully they go back to a hayride this year.
So.
I've heard the walkthrough. Some people actually preferred the walkthrough though because it probably is longer because it's a long hayride, and if you're walking that entire path, I imagine it would be a long experience.
Oh my gosh.
So people have actually said, like Bates Motel, I think even said that when they go back to the hayride, they might even have a couple nights where it's the walkthrough because they had a positive like feedback from it.
Well, that's cool.
So they said we haven't experienced the walkthrough, but if you have, let us know.
All right, so number 4 on this list. This is from a few years ago as well.
Yeah.
And we kind of made a comment because they decided to change it. And a lot of people were mad about how they changed it. But one of our scariest when we went was Eastern State Penitentiary.
And we toyed with putting this on the list, but I visited their website, and it doesn't mention that they're changing back, but it looks now the same as it was when we went originally.
Yeah.
Because last year they had like 1 or 2 haunted houses, and they had like a not scary zone and like just some like vendors and stuff was really all they had. It was like Halloween party is what they.
Yeah, and people were mad. I saw some comments and stuff, and people were like, it wasn't scary at all.
Like no touch thing, because like when we went, for example, you had a glow necklace and they could touch you and stuff. And there was I think 4 or 5 haunted houses we went. I think 4.
Yeah.
And they would make you do things too if you had
we
it.
got
Nothing
separated.
real crazy. Yeah, but they'd make you crawl through things. Nothing real gross, but just like fun little things like that.
Ball crawl.
But then going back on the website, and it looks exactly like that. They even, because there's even in the FAQ, it says, will we get touched? And it says, yes, if you opt into it. So I'm like, it sounds exactly like it was before. So I think it's safe to put it on the list, and because it sounds like it's going to be the experience we got. So yeah, it was awesome. Eastern State Penitentiary is amazing. I don't even know was it free for a daytime tour? Because we did the daytime tour as well. We just kind of walk around. It wasn't.
I want to say it was like
though.
it was like $15.
Yeah, so it wasn't much. I mean, it's great. Like if you can stay in Philly for a weekend, because again, Bates Motel and like Penhurst is not that far from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Because we did Bates Motel and Eastern State together that year. Penhurst was last year, but yeah, we did those two together, so not that far from each other. And yeah, you can definitely make a weekend there and go to like the Mutter Museum, see a whole bunch of weird creepy medical stuff if you're into that too.
Yeah, if you're into,
you can make a great like spooky weekend in Philadelphia area.
oh yeah,
just be ready to pay those toll roads.
I think I spent more on tolls than I did actually for haunted
insane.
houses. It was...
Yeah, but yeah, Eastern State Penitentiary, hopefully it's as good this year as it was when we went, and it looks like they are bringing it back to its former glory. So
if you go, let us know.
Let us know for sure, because I don't think we'll make it to this one that year at all. I mean, we are going to Hershey, PA, but I don't know how close it is to Philly. It's something to look into.
Yeah, it's a couple hours away.
Is it? But either way, go to that one. And now we're in our top 3. No, the top 3 are all ones we've given 10 in the years past.
Yes.
So we kind of went back and forth on which ones would be where. But number 3, we decided to put Blood Prison with the Touch Pass.
Yes.
If you don't get the Touch Pass, it's not in the top 10 at all.
No.
Now, the reason this one is number 3 and not higher than that, even though we've given it a 10 like the other ones, is just because of that. Without the Touch Pass, the experience isn't that scary besides the atmosphere, because there's not many jump scares. There's some, but there's not many. The Touch Pass, though, you're going to be grabbed One thing I didn't like last year much is they scratched a lot. They would like scratch me in the back of my neck, like females specifically with their longer nails would scratch me as hard as they could. I'm like, that's not scary, it just hurts.
I had some bruises.
So I actually took the thing off in the last couple minutes because I got scratched to the point where it felt like I was bleeding, and I'm like, okay, I don't really want to get like, because I mean, if people are scratching like other people with that isn't super sanitary.
No, not at all.
Like, I don't want to get something, so I took it off. So stop that, Blood Prison. If that's the thing you're teaching your actors to do, or if you're an actor that just decided to do that, don't scratch people. Like, that's... Yeah, don't do that.
Not cool.
That's not cool at all. But that's the main reason, is even though it's scary with the touch pass, is there's not a lot of jump scares in the thing. It's mainly just if you get that, they're going to be very interactive. They're going to choke you a little bit. They'll, like, pull your hair and stuff. So if you're doing it, be ready for that, because they're rough. They're not gentle. It's not just a little touchy touch. Like, they will grab you, choke you, hold weapons to your head. Like, obviously they're not real weapons, but some of them feel real. And they'll, like, run, like, cold steel across your throat and stuff. So, I mean, they'll make they made us crawl under a fence one year and stuff. So, I mean, it is intense.
I didn't.
It is intense. It's just, there's not a lot of jump scares. There's not a lot of jolts. It's just a very oppressing atmosphere. And you're in a giant prison. Mansfield's freaking awesome. Yeah. But this has been our top haunt many years. Like, we absolutely love this. Like, the detail and stuff they put in. Every year, it amazes us. So, yeah, definitely check out Blood Prison. Yes. If you're too scared for the touch pass, again, do not worry. Just don't get the touch pass. If you go through, it's not going to be that bad. There will be some scares, and it is still a pressing atmosphere, but they're not going to touch you.
They'll get close, but they won't touch you.
The biggest scares is there's a couple insanely loud noises that might make you not be able to hear for a day or two. Because my ears are very sensitive, and there's this one, like, I don't know if it's a cannon or what, but they shoot it off inside the cell, and the way it echoes, it always makes my ears go out.
Yeah. So
Stop.
I bought him earplugs for this year.
Oh, good, yeah. That's insane. I don't know why.
They're already in the car in anticipation.
All right, so that leads us to number 2.
Number 2 is the Haunted Hoochie.
Yeah.
This is the one we mentioned before that's in Columbus area. Definitely check it out if you're going to Fear Columbus. I would definitely plan this one to be your last one to go to, because they take their real time.
They do. They do. Just plan on buying a fast pass, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't remember the price. It might be different this year as well, but, like, there is no one in the fast pass line. But, like, their lines will last hours and hours. Even if you get it open. A lot of people are like, oh, we're going to get there to open. But, like, even on the website, it's like, what time do you open? And their answer is when we want. And you don't really know they're going to open, so you might be like, oh, I'll get there at 6. So I wouldn't wait as long, but then they might open at like 8:39, and you're like, wow, even though I'm first in line, I just waited 3 hours. I just go last. Because the other reason to go last is they also close whenever they want. Like, so they'll be open to 3 in the morning plus sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think it says that they stay open to at least when the bar is let out.
Which is usually like 2 o'clock.
So, yeah, go there last, buy a fast pass. You won't regret it. Besides, your wallet might regret it a little bit. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, time is money. So, buy that fast pass. Haunted Hoochie is amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, you get assaulted by, like, sounds and animatronics and people.
Lots of grabby grabs.
Lots of grabby grabs and gropey gropes. And
me and Kim got grabbed by the neck this last year, and we were held to look in this black hole, and a guy with a motorcycle came after, like, right here and, like, hit a chain. Looked like he was going to run us over, scared the shit out of us. It was awesome.
It was really cool. Like, I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, what are we doing? And then all of a sudden this motorcycle just comes at us. I'm like, oh, okay. We're going to pee our pants. Cool.
Yeah, you might get held over by a guy who's wearing nothing but a chicken on his crotch, and he might, ram you with it in the butt a little bit. That's happened to now each of us.
Yes. His official name is Chicken Fucker.
Yeah, his official name is Chicken Fucker. I was made fun of a lot because it happened to me, and then Kim got to, because I saw him and I ran. I'm like, no, not this time.
Well, I called him by his name, and he came after me, so.
He got Kim.
He got me.
She got pegged by a chicken. Yeah. But yeah, just it's a lot of fun place. The reason this isn't number 1, though, is because the atmosphere is still fun, even though it's messed up. It's like, it's the most live action experience similar to something like a Grindhouse film that you'll ever have. Like, think of like a Rob Zombie film, like House of a Thousand Corpses or something. Like, take that and just make, I mean, I know Halloween Horror Nights has done it, but that kind of feel, like just as crazy hillbillies doing crazy hillbilly shit. Like, that's really, I mean, that is the theme of Haunted Hoochie, but then there's also stuff like giant dragons protecting a dragon egg, and you're like, why is this here? And it doesn't matter, it's all cool, just go and have fun. So cool. Like, they don't really stick to one particular theme, but like almost all the actors are like hillbilly demons almost.
Yeah, hillbilly
Right.
demons. And
there's a lot of
Satan
bad
worshipers
taste,
and,
like stripper
yeah.
nuns that praise Satan and just like, oh, I mean, it's amazing. And now we are on to our number one. If you're a fan of the channel, then you probably know what it is, because we haven't mentioned it yet, would be Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. Now, I think the reason that this one's made our number one, we didn't do it last year because we were like, I don't know, is they actually do also offer a contact experience.
Yes.
They never used to. Last year was their first year. We didn't do it, but we ended up catching up with a group that did get it, which was fun, actually. I usually hate catching up with people, but I was happy so we could experience what they had to go through.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason we caught up with them was they took them somewhere for a while.
They took them away. Yeah, they took them somewhere, and they just kind of plopped them in front of us, and we're just like, oh, where'd these people come from? And, yeah, they were, like, they harassed them a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it was... Ugh. Yeah, it was crazy to watch, but they've also expanded the outside portion a lot. Yeah. And the other thing is, not only is there there's a lot of jump scares in here. Even without a touch pass, this place is scary. But with the touch passing, and we haven't done it, but from what we've seen with that other group, like, I mean, they were grabbing them, like, holding their hand, like, on thing and acting like they're going to chop it off, but hitting, like, right beside. Just a lot of creepy stuff, like playing with their hair. Didn't seem like anything too crazy. I don't think they force feed, at least they didn't, or anything like that. But just a lot of contact and kind of like taking you to like separate little scenes and kind of like just doing creepy stuff. Yeah. But the big thing, like I said, lots of jump scares. You can do the contact, but the big thing is the atmosphere of this place is horrifically amazing. It is just drenched in it.
Like literally, like when you park your car and you start walking towards this area, you're like, where the hell am I?
The experience starts the minute you pull into the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because you just see, and that's the cool thing too, is they're sticking to the theme. They don't like make it spooky dooky. Like they're like, they've themed it like to this family, the Carver family. They even made like a logo and a mascot with this little pig. Kim has the shirt, she's not wearing it now, like slicing himself, like the ham, but like not grotesque, like a cartoon, like 50s, like retro style.
Yeah, he's all like smiling and he's slicing himself up, you know.
And like there's even like a shipping part in it, and like they have those boxes with the logo on it. Like everything, and that's what makes it so creepy, is it doesn't feel like a haunted house.
No, it feels like you actually like stepped into these people's lives.
Right, because the whole thing is that, like, these people, basically, the Carver family, I think, like, they've basically been discovered as cannibals, and they just live there, and that's, like, what they do, is they, like, you know, they slaughter people. There's awful scenes, like, they suggested that a guy would basically steal school buses with children in them, and they would bring them back and eat the children. There's a crashed plane now, and it's, you know, pretty much hinted at that the survivors of the plane didn't survive for too long. What a terrible place to crash a plane. Imagine that, being like, oh, yeah, we survived the plane crash. Cannibals. That sucks.
Cannibals.
But, yeah, overall, Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse feels like more than a haunted house. It really does feel like a full package experience. And, I mean, you do have your traditional haunted house elements, like people jumping out and saying boo. And I like that they improved it, too. And we actually mentioned one of the reviews, like, they used to have a laser swamp in their, like, second or third year.
Yeah.
We were like, I mean, that doesn't really fit. And they got rid of it the next year. And, like, there really isn't anything now in it that doesn't feel like it belongs.
Right. Like, there's even, like, you know, mind you, they don't really emphasize it, but there is, like, a little bit of a supernatural feel to it.
Yeah.
And it does hint at it in a few spots.
Yeah, like the scene with the babies and stuff.
Yeah, but it fits because you're like, well, I mean,
it makes sense if people are crazy cannibal-centric people, that some of them might be into, like, occult stuff.
Yeah.
But there isn't, like, your traditional, like, they don't use air cannons. I don't think they use air cannons. Not that I remember. If they do, it's very small, very little.
No, it's the electric things and
But that kind of fits. And but that's what sells it so much. You're not using your claustrophobia tunnels all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, so there is, like, here and there kind of things you might see in other haunted houses. But for the most part, though, it doesn't take you out of the experience at all. Like, every scene is like, this seems like it should be in there. And it is an actual old slaughterhouse.
Yes.
Like, it's not, I don't know if we mentioned that, but it really is. It used to be an old slaughterhouse. I don't know what the name of the actual slaughterhouse was, but it reminds me kind of how, you know, Dent Schoolhouse and how they do their thing. Because Dent Schoolhouse is themed around a school, and it is an actual school. But Dent Schoolhouse does feel a little bit more haunted housey.
Yeah.
And also, of course, it's a slaughterhouse, so there's a lot of gore and stuff like that as well. So we're super excited to check that one out. And we're also super excited because the same, like, people that, like, make this and stuff are the same people that are making the Nightmare Cleveland.
Yes.
We're super excited to check that out. I don't know if it's coming out before or after, but we're doing a preview of that as well. Being invited to go do like a little preview thing, so make sure you check that video out. I'm not sure if this video is coming out before or after that one, but if it's before, then I'll put like a thing, because I'll know. I'll put like in text if it's before or not. Just make sure you are subscribed and all that stuff so you see it. And speaking of which, not only to make sure you're subscribed, also make sure you ring the notification bell.
The pumpkin's back.
So you don't miss any upcoming videos, because we have quite a few reviews that we plan on doing. We did a little haunt pre-talk where we just kind of talk about things we plan on doing this year as far as going to haunted houses and stuff like that go. And also, again, make any suggestions for places you would like to see us go. Also, I'm curious, what's the scariest haunted house you've ever been to? Let us all know in the comments below. You can also message us on Facebook or Instagram. For Facebook, because I'll actually see that. Instagram might take me a while till I see it. Instagram likes to put it in a really weird place where I don't see it a lot. So if you've messaged me on Instagram and I don't respond, comment on the video and let me know, like, hey, I messaged you. I'm like, oh, okay, must have hidden it. But thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.